program chair, Lenina Clubs.
Can I take this out? I'm asking you guys, can I take this out? I can. Because you know I can't stand still if I'm actually lecturing. Well, I'm not going to lecture, I promise. It'll be quicker than that. Tonight I am humbled and honored to give the farewell speech for Everest Aurora. As many of you know, we will be closing our doors in December. You might notice that I'm not wearing the traditional gown for academics. I stand before you this evening as a representative of every staff member and every student that has ever gone through our college. And not just our college in Aurora, that's been in business since 1989. But we were founded as Parks College in 1895. That's over 100 years ago. I stand before you like every student whose lives have been changed, who has struggled with desires and dreams and failures and victories. Simply human, reaching out to celebrate a century of success and to say goodbye. It's astounding to realize all of the history through which our college has endured and been successful. I'd like to just take a brief walk through a couple of the things in our history, because I think it's really interesting. It's not just our history as Everest, but the history of our nation. So first of all, we were founded before women could even vote. Can you imagine? I mean, some of us wouldn't even be up here today. Can you imagine Miss Karen and I in our petticoats out there trying to get the women's right to vote? I mean, any of us, right? Where's Karen? Karen, can you, right? I mean, we would be out, where's Karen's students? Can you imagine, I mean, right, wouldn't Karen and I be out there with our little petticoats and, well, something. Anyway, we'd be out there in the suffrage movement. So there's a couple principles that, as we go through some of these things, that I really want to hit home. Because we live in the greatest nation in the entire world. And it's because of our freedoms, and it's because of our tenacity, and it's because of the things that we believe in. And colleges like this and businesses like this don't just endure for 100 years because of nothing. It's because we are a great nation. So, again, we were founded before women could even vote. So principle number one, fight for what you believe in, especially when it comes to human rights. Because that matters, my friends. That matters. It matters in every aspect of life. Because we are all worthy of those human rights. We are born with those rights. And in this nation, we believe in those rights. And it is what we are made of. It's interesting that the year women got the right to vote was also the year of Prohibition. How'd that happen? So I wanted to, I mean, can you imagine sitting through one of Dr. Dunraven's 6-hour exams, or sitting through one of Eric's lectures without being able to go home and have a drink legally? I think that one of the principles that I wanted to talk about is the fact that we like to work hard in this country, but we like to play hard. So reward yourself when you work hard. Treat yourself. Know that the fruits of your labor are worthy of your celebration, and that's why you're here tonight. I love that about us. I love that about Americans. We work hard and we play hard. So we threw Prohibition out, and that's a good thing. And in Colorado, we've thrown more than that out, but we don't need to get into that debate. I hear clapping. Then we get into the years of the Depression. And we've had recessions since then, of course, but we had even a president who was crippled, and I think that was very symbolic of our crippled economy. And most of us have been jobless or had some economic difficulty even over the past decade. Some of you came to school because you wanted to better yourselves economically, or you couldn't find a job, and you came here to find a job. I think that the principle here is don't give up. Because the Depression was really hard, but you know what? We've known hard times too. And don't give up. Because as Americans, we don't give up. That is in our blood. It is in our blood. We rebelled from a place that was trying to repress us and tell us that we couldn't talk the way we wanted or we couldn't worship the way we wanted to. We rebelled against that. And even though we are very far away from that, we have not forgotten that. That is in our blood. So never give up, but also never let anyone do for you what you can do for yourself, including the government. I hear laughing. But I'm very serious about that. Because now that you're graduating, you don't need other people to do for you what you can do for yourself. And I think that we learn that over and over in our lives. Moving on to one of the greatest atrocities in human history, I think, the Holocaust. When we look at things like that, I have to believe that we'll never do something like that again. I would hope. But there's been studies done where humans tend to still react that way when given the opportunity to hurt another person. So another principle that I would say, first of all, don't believe someone just because they might be in authority. And this is another thing that we teach in our classes. We all teach this. Don't just believe something because someone tells you it's true. You don't have to. And secondly, if you think you are hurting someone, whether it's in the medical field, whether it's in the criminal justice field, whatever field you're in, stop and think it through. If you're being told to hurt another individual, you're probably not doing the right thing. There are exceptions to that if you're in the military, but you know what I'm talking about. We are wired for connection, we are wired for compassion, and we are wired to be with each other in a way that is not hurtful. If you are hurting another person, such as was the magnitude of the Holocaust, stop. And I'm not talking about the exams that my instructors up here have given you. And I'm not talking about the times that you were in Ivan's office either. Moving on to civil rights. Martin Luther King said, I have a dream. I have a dream that my 4 small children will be judged by the content of their character, not by the color of their skin. What was the principle here? We've come a very long way on civil rights. And in my heart, I believe that we have gotten beyond skin color in so many ways. But focus on your character, my friends, because that is so very important. Focus on the content of your character. Because at the end of the day, that's what matters. That is what matters. And that is part of why our college has survived for over 100 years. We don't just teach you skills, we teach you about your character. And at the end of the day, that's what matters. When you look yourself in the mirror at the end of the day, you are the only one that is accountable for your actions. It is the content of your character, not the color of your skin, not your gender, not anything else that matters. It is the content of your character. The last thing that I want to look at in terms of history, and this has been a very brief little run through some things, but my generation, the baby boomers, we have left you with a lot of debt. And I'm sorry. I don't know how we screwed that up so profoundly, but we did. Don't make promises you can't keep. Going back to the content of your character, it is your word, and your word matters. Don't make promises that you can't keep. Our college has survived over 100 years because this is a great country and because the things that we teach matter. And the jobs that you will get will matter, and you going out into the marketplace really matter. We might be closing our doors, and we might be saying goodbye from Everest or more, but that doesn't mean that everything that we taught you won't survive in the world. One of our governors, right before World War II, Governor Ralph Carr, said, "I maintain that as long as there persists in the world a nation of thinking human beings where men have the right to gather in public assembly to voice their individual opinions without fear, and where he is protected from attacks by any man or group of men, so long as he does not use his rights to injure others, then there is hope." You are all thinking human beings, and that gives me hope. Thank you.